Your woman cannot disobey.
We'll see you all later. All right, Daddy. Bye.
You don't want the man to see you as somebody that is so arrogant. I'm weak.
Those weren't random requests. They were things that clearly mattered to him on a personal level. One of the biggest issues I noticed is that Maxwell doesn't seem to ask for much. He isn't constantly demanding expensive gifts or expecting Ashia to completely change her lifestyle. Most of what he talks about revolves around respect, understanding, and making an effort to appreciate where he comes from. Those requests don't seem unreasonable, especially considering that relationships involving different cultures require compromise from both people. That's why I think one of the biggest missed opportunities happened when Maxwell explained how he wanted Ashia to greet his parents. He wasn't trying to control her or change her identity. He was simply sharing something that carries meaning within his family and culture. Small gestures like greetings can mean a lot in different parts of the world, and when someone takes the time to explain that, it's usually because they want their partner to make a good first impression. Instead, it felt like Ashia decided to approach the situation her own way. Whether she intended to or not, it created the impression that Maxwell's advice wasn't taken seriously. That's where problems begin, because if someone opens up about something that's important to them and immediately feels ignored, disappointment naturally follows. One thing I keep thinking about is that respecting someone's culture doesn't mean losing your own identity. Those two things can exist together. Making an effort to understand your partner's traditions isn't about giving up who you are. It's about showing that you value what's important to the person you love. Another thing that stood out was the way Ashia communicates with Maxwell. There are moments where it feels less like she's encouraging him and more like she's directing him. Whether the topic is how he dresses, what he should do, or how situations should be handled, she often sounds like she's trying to improve him instead of accepting him for who he already is. Every relationship involves growth, but there's a difference between helping your partner become a better version of themselves and making them feel like they're constantly being corrected. Nobody wants to feel like they're always falling short of someone else's expectations. Maxwell, on the other hand, appears to be comfortable with who he is. He doesn't come across as someone pretending to be something he's not. He seems confident in his background, proud of his family, and comfortable with the traditions he grew up with. That's actually one of the qualities that makes him easy to understand, because he isn't trying to hide where he comes from. I also think the cultural differences between Ashia and Maxwell are becoming more noticeable with every episode. It's one thing to appreciate another culture from a distance, but it's something completely different when you become part of that culture through a relationship. That's when flexibility, patience, and respect become absolutely necessary. Another thing I noticed is that Maxwell often appears willing to explain instead of argue. He doesn't immediately become defensive. He tries to communicate why something matters before reacting emotionally. That's an important quality because healthy communication is one of the strongest foundations any relationship can have. Unfortunately, communication only works when both people are willing to listen. If one person feels like their perspective keeps getting overlooked, frustration eventually starts building beneath the surface. Those frustrations don't disappear. They simply wait until another disagreement brings them back. I also couldn't ignore how much influence family has over this relationship. Maxwell clearly respects his parents and values their opinions. That's not unusual, especially in families where traditions and respect for elders play a significant role. Understanding that family dynamic is part of understanding Maxwell himself. The challenge is that relationships require both people to meet somewhere in the middle. It can't always be Maxwell adjusting, and it can't always be Ashia expecting things to fit into her world exactly the way she wants. Long-term success usually comes from compromise rather than competition. Another thing that caught my attention is how easily small disagreements seem to grow into larger issues. What begins as a conversation about greetings, clothing, or family expectations quickly turns into something much deeper, because those smaller moments represent larger questions about respect and compatibility. I also believe that constantly trying to change someone can unintentionally send the message that who they already are isn't good enough. That's a dangerous place for any relationship, because people naturally want to feel accepted by the person they love. Encouragement builds confidence, but constant correction can slowly create resentment. Maxwell deserves the opportunity to be himself without feeling like every decision he makes needs to be evaluated. At the same time, Ashia deserves the chance to express her own opinions without feeling silenced. The key is finding a balance where both people feel respected rather than controlled. Throughout this moment on 90 Day Fiancé, I kept asking myself whether Ashia truly accepts Maxwell for who he is, or whether she's hoping he'll eventually become someone different. That's a question every couple should answer early, because entering a relationship with the expectation that someone will completely change usually leads to disappointment.